All right, we're live again. We are live again. All right, so technology, you gotta love it. You gotta love it or hate it. It either enables you or cripples you. Last time we had so much lag, I was stopping in between every word, and I'm delivering jokes, and it's just getting all chopped up. And so I said, you know what? I'm not going to do a Wi-Fi, so I went and bought cables and dongles and things like that. So anyway, we're just waiting for folks to hop on our live. We got a couple folks on, turning up on a Tuesday. Dr. Wakwaya, that's my man. What's up? We got some folks coming on to the late afternoon show. We could probably call it the late night show now because it is dark everywhere. Thanks to everybody that's tuning in to the late afternoon show. This is a departure from what you saw last time. So if anybody was here 2 weeks ago when we had the first late afternoon show, we had it in a nice stage studio. We're at the coffee shop, Fourscore Coffee in downtown Roseville. Beautiful architecture, exposed brick, really cool art, had the desk. I mean, it was the whole vibe. But for whatever reason, the internets did not want us to be great. The internets did not want us to be great. And so the show was super choppy. Heart goes out to Tim Salau, who was my first guest, who endured with me. So we're going to have to do that show. We're going to have to do that show again. But we appreciate Tim. So the late afternoon show, guys, thank you so much. The whole idea is that you come and kick back at the end of a long day and relax, some comedy relief, while still focusing on what's going on in the world, current events, and what our professional goals are. So that's the whole idea. So it's actually really appropriate that I'm at home. It is kind of staged because this is not how my house normally looks. I told the wife, get the kids, get them out of here. I got something going on, but it kind of feels like this is what 5:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening should look like after a long day. So what you don't see is I just pushed all the dirt to the sides and you cannot see it in this here box. So that is a late afternoon show. We're going to have, and the other thing is, because I am not in the studio, which I was a couple weeks ago, I actually had a live audience. So with a live audience, as I'm telling these corny jokes, you actually have people that are laughing and giving you energy while you're there. So I really appreciated that. So today, it is just me and the screen, so please bear with me. You can type ha 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 LOL in the chat so I know that you're vibing with me, or just give me the face like, nah, bro, that wasn't funny, but we're going to go with it anyway. I just want to give a shout out to folks that are tuning in. Let us know in the chat if you are here. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching live. Give us a heart if you're watching the rebroadcast, right? So give us a thumbs up emoji if you're watching us live today. Give us a heart if you are watching the rebroadcast. We want to see the folks that are tuning in to the late afternoon show live with Tim. So we're going to jump right into it, right? This was a historic week. I mean, talk about history being made. So much history. I mean, the voter turnout was historic. Historic. The projection of a female VP. Historic. Historic. The projection of a black female VP. Historic. The fact that Nevada is still counting. Historic. Oh my gosh. Hopefully we can get a count by Inauguration Day. But I mean, so much history has been made in this last week. You just can't miss it. And I know there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of confusion about what's going on. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has something to say. And folks are concerned, rightly concerned. But do you know what the real deal is? What folks are really concerned about? They feel like these candidates are too old. That's what it is. It's not about political party or anything. These guys are just old, right? But me, I don't mind. I like to have my presidential candidates have some season. They've had long life experience. I mean, that is what I appreciate in a president. Some folks don't feel that way, but that's okay. You know, we found Joe Biden's Social Security card, and it actually was written in Roman numerals, right? That's how old this guy is. XXIV is his Social Security number. That is the type of age we're dealing with, you know, for our candidates, but it's fine. It's fine with me, right? The fact that these candidates combined are older than all of the Golden Girls is okay with me. The fact that I'm even referring to the Golden Girls, given my generation, speaks to something, right? Folks that don't know who the Golden Girls are, if you think of the Kardashians, when the Kardashians grow up, they are going to be the Golden Girls. You know, the Kardashians are like the Golden Girls origin story, if you would. So that's a little bit of context for folks that don't know what that reference is, but history being made. I mean, close to 150 million people came out to vote. 150 million people. That is a lot of folks. That is progress in our country, right? That shows a commitment to the process and a commitment to making sure that we put the right person in leadership. I think the last time we had a number that big was when folks were trying to figure out who won with Dancing with the Stars. We have, maybe that was probably half of the folks that contributed to that vote. But the fact that we are turning our priorities to the presidential race in that number is huge. And if you didn't know, actually, did you guys check out the Pfizer news that came out? Pfizer did something historic, right? So Pfizer has been working on this COVID-19 drug, and they literally just announced that they have found a vaccine that they're working on that has 90% success rate in their clinical trials. 90%, but they waited till after the media called the elections to announce that. If I had that level of good news, I could not hold it. The fact that they could have that level of control to keep that kind of secret and let the process play itself out, that is godly. That is divine. I do not possess that level of control to keep that type of secret from folks. And, you know, it reminds me of this, you know, speaking about gods and secrets, you know, I read this really funny dad joke the other day. So you guys, let me try it out on you. Do not be offended. I'm just trying it out. So you guys know Thor, right? You guys know Thor, God of Thunder or something like that. So why doesn't Thor like keeping secrets, right? Why doesn't Thor like keeping secrets? If you know it, you can type it in the chat. I'll give you like 2 or 3 seconds. Why doesn't Thor like keeping secrets? I'll tell you. Don't worry. I'll tell you. He doesn't like keeping things low key. Come on, low key, his brother, the evil guy. He doesn't like, no, nobody. Okay, all right. No bad jokes, no dad jokes. We'll jump right into it with our show tonight, guys. We have one of the most creative minds in branding and advertising with us here tonight. You have seen him. I talked to him when I had my previous show, The Rough Chat. He has been on so many different networks. This guy has worked with Domino's. This guy has worked with, you know, Budweiser. He's worked with celebrities, Dwayne Wade, Meek Mill, all these guys. He has such a very practical way of looking at the brand of an organization, at the brand of people, and how that shapes perspective, and just really challenging how branding is traditionally done. And he does it all while sporting the beautiful bald. I have something for bald, and so he has a special place in my heart. So without further ado, let's get his theme music going here for Steve Babcock. Let's go. Let's give him a round of applause. Welcome. Man, this music didn't play as quickly as I wanted it to play, but we're all good.
Appropriate theme music for me is no theme music.
No theme music, just silence. Yo, cue the crickets. Let's go.
Yeah, awkward silence that usually.
Awkward silence. Yes, that is where you probably feel most welcome. It's like, yes, this is my crowd. Steve, how you doing tonight, man?
Good. Yeah,
Good.
I'm on the show.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the late afternoon show. Even though it is probably, we should have started this in the summertime because now it is now just becoming a late night show. It's dark over here. Where are you again? You're in Denver, right?
Yeah, I'm in Boulder. It's
Okay.
dark here too. When does the afternoon become the evening? Like, what's the official?
I think there's a term called dusk. I think dusk.
So it's not based on like an hour. Like at 6 o'clock is when
It is now evening. Yeah, I don't know. I think when it changes from supper to dinner is when it becomes evening. But we will keep calling this a late afternoon show until the calendar gods tell us otherwise in the daytime, folks. But we are so glad to have you, Steve. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. I tried to give a little introduction to you, but do you have if you're introducing yourself to somebody and you only have 30 seconds, how do you normally introduce yourself?
Well, I guess it would depend on who that person is, but if I'm just giving sort of a career, I'm Steve Babcock. I've been in the creative side of advertising and branding and marketing for 20 years. Worked at a bunch of agencies, a bunch of different places, held a bunch of positions, worked with a bunch of brands. That's it. I'm a dad. I've got 3 kids, and I don't know if I've hit 30 seconds yet, but that
was like 15. Like you have probably been doing this for a long time to get your elevator pitch down. Like that's not even, we wouldn't even have gotten to the next floor yet. And you would have already gone through. But Steve, we appreciate you, man. And what I want to do is I want to ask you, I got some questions here for you before we dive into what you are the most famous for. I got some questions for you just for us to get to know you, Tell us, if you would, the oddest job, the weirdest, oddest job that you've ever taken to earn a buck. What's the weirdest job you've taken to earn $1?
Well, I wouldn't say it was, well, I don't know if it was weird or odd. But I, all through my high school in a very small town in Idaho, I worked the graveyard shift in the summers at a cheese factory. So it was like these 12-hour shifts where literally I worked in the barrel room. So like cheese curds would come in this big pipe and we'd fill them up in these barrels and run them down a track and compress them. And I was the only like youngster. Like it was me and a bunch of older guys there. And so it was I guess it was weird just listening to their conversations and just being there. I'm like, why am I here?
How long did you work there for?
Just in the summers with high school. It was like a great summer job. It was pretty grueling. Like it was 12-hour shifts, 3 days on, 3 days off, 4 days on, 4 days off. But it was a great way to just earn a lot of money in the summer. So
Nice. Well, I can't say that I've ever worked that closely with cheese before. So I will give that to you as that's definitely weird for me. Ilya, thank you for hopping on. It's good to see you on here. And we are excited for this interview as well. Trust me, we are very excited. We have Steve Babcock here, Chief Creative Officer, brand guru, brand consultant. So Steve, we have some more questions for you, kind of diving more into kind of advice and observations and trends and things like that. But talk to us about what keeps you busy these days. Like what are you working on these days?
These days I work on kind of everything. Pre-COVID, I was focusing on working directly with brands. I started my own little consultancy called Made in House, and to help brands build their internal creative groups and production groups, so they could maybe not have to rely so much on outside vendors and agencies. COVID slowed that down, and so I've just sort of relocated my family back to our place in Colorado just to kind of wait this thing out, which is who knows if it's ever going to end. And so now I'm just like everything. I'm doing freelance with agencies. I'm still consulting with some brands. but it's not as, it's a little more kind of open just because the world's a little bit more open right now, but still, it's still the same stuff that I've always done, just as doing it.
So, you know, speaking about kind of working with brands, I know a lot of folks that are on here. Elia has, you know, branded herself as, you know, a consultant here on LinkedIn, and showing folks how to find success, how to find clients, you know, and different things like that. And so one of the things that I had reached out to you for initially was personal branding, right? So you look at these big organizational brands, right? You've worked for some of the biggest names, you know, in the industry. How does that translate? How does like corporate branding translate to personal branding? What are some of the lessons that we can learn from the big brands for our personal brands?
Yeah, it's actually a space that I've been really interested in lately, in working with personal brands or influencers or people who are trying to figure out how to, you know, create substance beyond just a follower count or to become something else. I would say it's almost completely apples to apples. Like the same thought process, at least for me, or the same structure that I want to build for a brand in terms of like, you know, their positioning. I like to refer to it as an agenda. I like to think of what is the brand's agenda, meaning, you know, beyond just their business goal or their product or whatever, like something, what's their agenda that transcends that? And I think people can do that too. It's really important. I mean, when you and I talked, you know, that was a big, you'd already kind of come to the table with a thought that made sense, but I was like, okay, you know, a lot of people don't have that. It's like, you can't actually do anything. I mean, you can make content, but it's just going to be kind of buckshot all over the place until you identify, like, this is my agenda. Like the thing I want to, the change that I want to create in my audience, or the, you know, the impact I want to have, etc. And once you have that, again, so just like a normal brand would, then it becomes a matter of like, how do I deploy that?
Right.
You know, I'm a big believer in, and what I've done for the last almost 2 years now is this thing called branded programming, which is basically, I mean, I think we're on one right now. We're on the late afternoon show.
Yeah.
and it's a great example of how to do it, right? You know, of like, okay, I now know what my agenda is. I'm thinking about core behaviors or things about my personality that prove that that is my agenda. True. And this is all an exercise that allows you to, it hopefully will break free some ideas of like, I want to do a show about this kind of a thing, or I want to do a show about this kind of a thing. That's exactly what I do with brands that works with people. And I think that's because the best brands actually, you know, it's always been the analogy that like, well, a brand is like a person. It has a personality, it has this, it has values, so it's actually easier in this world where people are, you know, can become brands because of we can do stuff like this. So I think it's honestly the exact same playbook.
Yeah. One of the things that I always remember that you shared that I steal or borrow and share with other folks is, you know, the definition that you gave of brand, which is kind of comes down to two things, right? It's your perspective on something, and then how you're different from the other guys. So if you kind of frame your agenda, you know, to that end of, you know, what's my viewpoint on this particular market or subject, or, you know, fun, you know, whatever it is, and how do I separate myself from other folks that are in the similar, you know, similar markets. So one question before we jump into our game here is, can you give us an example of maybe a quick example of kind of creating that agenda for maybe a well-known organization that maybe it was Domino's, or one of your favorite brands that you've worked with, of creating that agenda and then what that looked like on the back end?
Yeah, I mean, I actually do a presentation called Intro to Branded Programming, where I have like slides of it and everything. I can try to explain it without those, so hopefully it'll work. But it is kind of important, you know, and I'm not a huge, actually, I guess I am a big chart person, but like for me, I've had to create basically a one sheet thing where I can kind of fill in these boxes. And it becomes kind of the instructions for how to do this. And I think it's important too, right? Because a lot of brands, or a lot of, again, just my personal preference, I think simplicity is very underrated. I think it's very powerful.
Right.
But we'll have a lot of these strategy agencies and things come in and justify a large bill with like an 800-page deck, and I'm like, no, I want to be able to do it on one page.
Yeah.
At least so someone can look at it and go, I understand this.
Yeah.
One example that I use in that presentation that I don't know if it'll be applicable, because I don't know if everyone's had it. There's a brand of yogurt that I've worked with for a few years called Noosa. And it's, what was really interesting when they originally came to me, it was like, okay, there's so many yogurt brands.
Yeah.
Like, and as I dug into them, I realized like, oh, wait a minute, this is a little different, right? It's definitely, one, it's made with whole milk, has sugar, honey.
Yeah.
It's delicious. I mean, it's like when people
no, I've had Noosa, and I can attest to that deliciousness.
Yeah, and so, but the challenge was, and so, digging into that, I realized, okay, they make this delicious product, but their agenda as a brand was really in their category. Yogurt is really kind of like a like weight management or a calorie it's like, oh, I'm eating yogurt because it's low calorie. I'm managing,
like a tool for something.
That's right. And they were so much in like, no, we want, our agenda is to allow people to indulge in something that is good. You don't always have to be like, we would always talk about the shoulds. Everyone's always like, well, you should eat this, you shouldn't eat that, you should eat this. And look, this thing's really, really good. It's made with the natural ingredients to make, but you know what? Yeah. And if you like it, and don't care about what anyone has to say about it. So that became their agenda, really, which was just like the permission to indulge in what you enjoy.
Yeah.
And then, so another way to put that creatively was like, there's people who eat to live, which is sort of like, I eat to manage my life. And then we looked at Noosa and it was like, you live to eat. So it's like, really, and so that was their agenda. And then we looked at like basic behaviors that would prove that they really were about this like enjoyment of indulgence. And it was like, one was, this whole milk. Everyone else uses skim milk. That was a one little box. It's like, that's a proof point. Another one was, the most delicious, source, like fruits and things like that get mixed in. Boom, boom, boom. So you kind of have these things, and then you go, okay, now I have things to talk about, right? Like maybe I want to create a show that is around the milk part, right? Because that's really important to people, or around the consistency part or whatever. And then you're able to kind of go, okay, now I want to come up with a content series. I'll call it a show all the time. I realize that's just new. That's what I use. So I don't want to confuse people. A content series, or basically it's a creative idea that you expect to do over and over and over again in hopes of building an audience and some equity in that thing through a lot of trial and error. So that was one that we've built for Noosa, and you can see I haven't worked with them actually for a little while. They sold to some big company, and
nice.
All my clients, I think, took the money and ran. So I don't really know, but I think they're still kind of following that playbook. But if you look a couple of years ago, you would see a lot of the types of shows that were based off that. But I think with humans, with people, it gets so much more exciting to identify like, okay, once you have your agenda, like instead of just, you see a lot of these influencers that are just like, I'm just trying to do, to meet the best practice, like, oh, I got to post 3 times a day, just like, but your content is just random or whatever. Like instead, let's actually start to build, programming that's based on you and your agenda, but it allows it to kind of eclipse just you and your follower count, right? You build, I guess you want to build substance.
Yeah.
You can do that through like these creative show ideas. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. And that's, as you we talked about the influencer age. Everybody wants to, you build the end result of building the personal brand a lot of times is to become an influencer. And the the idea of becoming an influencer is, yeah, you have this big following. Hopefully brands will reach out to you and pay you just to hold something up or be yourself, and do whatever. And so that's the draw, as opposed to actually delivering value on either something that's important to you, or important to the folks that you're engaging with, or to your audience. And so kind of flipping that script of not just being so encapsulated with the end result of, oh, I want to be an influencer, I want to have X amount of followers and get X amount of things, but being focused on that program. What is your agenda? Like, what do you want to do? Like, for me, I love, as you can tell, I'm not camera shy. I love being in front of the camera. I love presenting. I love storytelling. And so if I can get opportunities to do that, but actually, so that fulfills my need. Okay, I've told a story, I've presented, I've entertained, and like I feel some fulfillment in that. But at the same time, it's adding value to somebody, right? So the whole concept of meaningful work, right? So folks are spending 8, 9, 10 hours of their day working. How do they find meaning in that? So that was like the community pool. And how do I do that is by what I like to do, which is storytelling, camera time, and all those different things. And then just build some consistent programming around that. And that's how we kind of came up with the Rough Chat earlier, and then now the Late Afternoon Show and the Meaningful Mondays. It's like these 2 shows on this Tim network, right? And just kind of building that out. Yeah. So
that's right.
We got,
crushing it.
What was that?
I said you're crushing it. This is exactly how people should do it.
Little by little. So we got Ryan saying great insights, loving the show. Thank you so much, Ryan. I actually had a chance to chat with Ryan on his podcast a little while ago. So very excited for that to be coming out. So what we want to do is we want to mix it up a little bit. We want to play a little game with folks. We're going to play Pictionary. All right, we're going to play Pictionary. So we know he's a brand guru. We know how he knows how to design brands and get their names out there and all that stuff. But does he know how to draw? Is he an artist, right? We know that he's a craftsman. If you guys go to Steve's Instagram page, this guy loves to build stuff. He just built the most coolest, chicest bench that would probably cost, I don't know, $600,000 at IKEA. And he built it, he built it right there. He built his own little backdrop when he was back on the East Coast. So this guy, and we know he's a craftsman, but let's see if he can draw. So I am going to chat something to him in the private chat of what he's going to draw. I am going to play some music, and while he is drawing it, so he's going to draw it. And so Steve, what we want you to do is, if you can, as you're drawing, draw it on the screen. So there we go. So folks can see what you're drawing, and then folks need to guess. You need to guess what he's drawing. You will have until half of the song to guess what he is drawing. All right. Here we go. Here we go. All right. All right. I sent it to you. Let me know if you got it.
All right, here we go.
There we go.
I haven't played Pictionary in a long time. I just have to get you to guess I got it. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. It's hard to draw this way. Okay, here we go.
Uh-huh. All right, can everybody see what he's drawing? If you can guess it, we got some swag for you guys. We got some swagnets, some magnets that have some Mr. Meaningful Work swag. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Hold on.
Oh, wow. Oh, man, this guy is an artist. Who can comment what is being drawn on the screen right now? Somebody said pasta.
Close.
Somebody said pasta. Marcus says pasta. What's up, Marcus? It is not. Is it pasta? Uh-oh. Okay. Brittany said she put a taco emoji. Okay.
Yeah.
So Nicole is back. What's up, Nicole? Welcome back. I owe you a swagnet. All right. We're putting it together. Whoever guesses it first. We got pasta. We got a taco emoji. We got bowl of fruit. Oh, he's giving it away now. He's giving it away now. Who can guess what this is?
That's it.
We got food truck. Oh,
What kind of food?
popcorn, cereal. We're not quite there. Folks are close. Brittany, you're close. Oh, Matt got it. Woo! Matt got it. Matt draws, man. Thank you. That was a taco truck. Wow. Yo, Steve, you see all the guesses coming in?
Well, I didn't see him before, but now I'm looking at him to see. So someone had Brittany got the taco right away.
Yeah, she got the taco right away, and then she said food truck, and then Matt came in. Whoop,
boom.
Truck.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, man. Good job, Matt. So, Matt, we have some swagnets for you. I should have had them here, but in my rush to come in, I left them in the car. We have 3 different designs of Mr. Meaningful Work swag. So we got Meaningful Monday sticker. A Meaningful Monday magnet. You put it on your fridge, put it in your office so you can be motivated every Monday. Let's make this a Meaningful Monday. And then you have the Mr. Meaningful Work smiley face, just to put some joy on your face. And then the late afternoon show with just my smiling face. So if you want my picture all over your house, we can do that for you. So thank you so much for playing that. I'm going to ask you another getting to know you question. All right. So, Steve, you've worked for some cool people. We're not going to lie. You worked for some pretty cool people. You know what? For those that don't know you, do you mind just, before I ask you this question, do you mind just kind of listing off some name dropping? You can name drop now. Who are the folks that you have worked with or for in your time that would be recognizable to folks?
Yeah. There's a lot of recognizable celebrities and things that I've worked with making like commercials and ads and stuff. So, the most recognizable people I would say, in advertising, Alex Bogusky was one of the biggest names in advertising. I've made ads or commercials with Jay-Z, Taylor Swift, Eminem, Metallica, which was my favorite.
Wow.
Meek Mill, Dwayne Wade. I don't know. I'm forgetting a bunch. Oh, Ozzy Osbourne and Justin Bieber in the same commercial.
Ozzy Osbourne and Justin Bieber. That is like.
Yeah, no, it was very confusing.
I can't even stretch my arms far enough about.
No, it was very confusing. Jason Sudeikis. I'm sure I'm missing some, but in advertising, especially when you work with some larger brands and you do more commercials and things, you kind of
it just happens. It's just yeah. So the question that we had here is, if you could be a personal assistant to anyone, who would it be?
That I've worked with, or just anybody?
Just anybody. Anybody is an option. You can be the personal assistant to anybody. Who would that be?
Gosh, I've never even thought about that because it's such a specific. It's not just like, can you be the best friend with somebody, or can you hang? It's like you have to be thinking a little bit of like, well, I may like this person, but maybe being their personal assistant would suck because maybe needy. I guess I would say, Dave Grohl. Actually, I'm a big Foo Fighters fan, Dave Grohl fan.
Okay.
Just because he's such a, because I'm assuming that being his personal assistant would mean I would go on the road and, kind of relive my rock and roll days.
Nice.
He'd be an easy person to be a personal assistant for because it's like, you've seen low maintenance. And that's really what I'm looking for right now. It's a pretty easy gig. Yeah. I'm going to for the Kardashians or anybody that's going to
No,
make
you don't want to actually work.
No,
but you want to travel and be a rock star and not really have to do anything.
That's right.
So that is the perfect life that you just described right there, man. So look, man, we're coming to the bottom of our time. I just wanted to ask you another question as it relates to your experience and some advice that you would share with folks as we are in this. COVID-19 has changed a lot of people's lives, right? It's changed a lot of people's lives. Obviously, changed your life and some of the things that you were working on, and a lot of folks have changed from you talked about creating an agenda and kind of understanding, where you want to go and the programmatic element. As we come out, if we're saying we're coming out of this kind of pandemic period, we're saying we're maybe on the upper or like the up-ish swing of it. What is some advice that you can give folks to prepare them, just from a personal branding perspective, or just from your general experience, that as we're coming out of this pandemic and things are coming back to normal, how can I prepare myself to add the most value to the marketplace as we're coming out of this pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we are. I hope we are. you maybe saw some news I didn't see. I just saw that like the count's going up crazy or whatever. And they just that our kids are now not going to school. And anyway, but I would say this though: the one thing I would hope, I guess, is it's been really interesting to me that the way we work, even just this, like just at our jobs, but also, historically, especially in marketing, the way we would make content and ads and things. Yeah. There's I feel a little like there are a lot of times where I would be on some of these, these shoots, maybe with some of these celebrities or whatever, but you're looking around and you're like, oh man, it's, millions of dollars is being spent to make this commercial, Yeah. Started with just an idea I had, so that's it's just a hunch that Steve had. Let's go, and we're doing all this, and I remember a time where it's like there was a meeting. Cool. Well, we have a client meeting. We're going to get on planes, fly, go there for an hour, get back on planes, fly home, and one of the things that I think that this pandemic has done is the first phase was like, okay, world's over. This is horrible. And now we're kind of like, as humans do, we go, okay, well, we're just going to have to figure it out. It can't stop. We got to keep going.
Yeah.
And what I'm really liking about that, and what I'm hoping coming out of this, is that we develop this this openness to this hybrid way of working, right? Because the ability to be remote, I don't think you should do it all the time, but I also don't think I felt it very wasteful before of how we had to communicate or how we had to make stuff. It allows you to be able to collaborate and work with people maybe you wouldn't have before in other, just because they aren't in LA or New York. It's like, man, so I'm really hopeful that coming out of this, you're going to see more folks like yourself say, hey, stuck in my house. Well, guess what? I've got the internet. So I'm going to make something about it.
Right.
And you're seeing a lot of, brands and agencies and marketers, and everybody's figuring out how to adjust. And so I like that. I like the fact that it was like it took something like this to completely change us. And I hope that, when the virus is controlled or when it's gone or however that's going to happen, I do hope that we remember these lessons. And because I think it's made, I know for me, it's maybe like even on a personal level, like, okay, yeah, we don't spend as much money because we kind of can't, we're not going to eat as much. We're not doing this. We're happy. Yeah. Like, hey, maybe we can be better. Maybe everybody can learn to be just a little bit more frugal or charitable or mindful of others. It's really, I think, there's a really positive side to it as well. Again, assuming we just get it checked off and people can stop getting sick. But
Yeah, no, that's good because when things start to go back to normal, what I'm hearing is that what you don't want to happen is that folks kind of slide back into that kind of attitude of complacency versus when they were in a catastrophic environment, they had to adapt, they had to be agile, they had to be be able to move and be creative and things like that. So and a lot has come out of it, right? A lot of connections have come out of it. A lot of cool, different opportunities have come out of it. So the hope is that on the backside of this, whatever that is, 2021, 2022, whatever that is, that attitude of adaptability, that attitude of doing more with less, that attitude of using what I have in my hands to make something happen. I don't know if you saw a post. I don't think I might have tagged you on it. Was John Deere, right? So John Deere can't
I saw you on there reading.
So he was watching me on LinkedIn, and now he's here live.
Tech support. There he is. Boom.
So John Deere, instead of them being able to go out and do shoots with their customers, is quick. Instead of them being able to go out, they sent cameras to all their customers so that they can start kind of shooting themselves. And you have this kind of user-generated or customer-generated content. So that is the adaptability.
That's right.
That folks have become. That's become normal, right? And hopefully it stays normal when things go back to normal.
Yeah. That's right. No, that's really it. I do like. I guess one thing I do like is everyone's barriers have been broken down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I think we as humans are so good at like presenting the face and everything we do. And suddenly like that, I mean, with that, your kids are in your dog, your house, everybody, it's like when everyone's just wearing sweats and everybody's, and I love that. I think that's really important for us to fundamentally go, wait a minute, we're all human.
Yeah.
In this race. And so I hope that, I hope we can maintain some aspect of that because I think it's very valuable.
That's good. Well, Steve, we want to thank you so much for spending some time with us. Do you have anything you want to say to Mr. Steve? What?
I'll say that you have great job saying good work to him.
You had a great job saying good work to him? Yeah, that's kind of what along the lines. Yeah, look at he's nodding. He's like, yeah, that's
Appreciate it.
So smart. So thank you so much, guys. For folks that joined us on the late afternoon show tonight, thank you so much for sticking with us. Again, if you were watching us live, give us a thumbs up. If you're watching the rebroadcast, after the live, give us a heart so we can see what folks, how folks are engaging. Matt, you won some swag, so I am going to get in touch with you on how to get that over to you. Thank you again, Steve. Guys, we have a show next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we have another show, and I will announce who our guest is. And it looks like the connection worked today. Nobody dropped off. It stayed true all the way through, so we appreciate that. So we are going to play some music on the way out, and we thank you guys. That is our show for tonight, and we are going to end the live broadcast. Thanks, everybody.
Later.